Okay. So let me start introducing myself. My name is Dr. TVK Gupta. Presently, I am working as assistant professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, VNIT Nagpur, and uh, so this is this triple M, which is mechanical manufacturing and monitoring using MATLAB. So this was we started the series in 2017, and every year we are continuing actually. And this time it is through the Atal portal. Otherwise, it is every time it's a self-financed program. And I am happy that to share you that we have about 239 registrations, in the sense that those who have applied, and I have approved 140 actually, but right now there are around 40 participants there in the group. And before starting the workshop, I just want to inform you that those who attend 80% of the sessions and who secure 60% of the marks in the exam which I am going to conduct, so they will be getting the certificates. Because I think you people might be knowing, because I have seen most of the participants have already appeared for the workshops somewhere else actually, right? So coming to the workshop, and I hope you are going to, you have, the screen is visible, no, the schedule, right? Okay, so now now you see the first talk will be myself, where I'll be talking about more on the metal additive manufacturing. And the next will be delivered by Professor Puneet Tandon of IIT uh, Jabalpur, and he will be talking about the hybrid manufacturing. And Dr. Divyansh Patel, he was working at IIT Kanpur as per his PhD, curved surfaces using texturing, basically hydrophobic surfaces he has created. There we will be talking. So that will be today all the three sessions. And I came to know that he'll be joining as Dr. Divyansh Patel is going to join as faculty at IIT Bombay very soon. And tomorrow we'll have three sessions, which is covered by Dr. Ankit Saxena, biomedical analysis, the condition monitoring of manufacturing process by Professor Andhare. He is from VNIT Nagpur. And post lunch, we will be having the monitoring in deburring process, where Dr. Sheetal Chidarwar from VNIT Nagpur, she will be talking. And as a part of this Atal Academy, so we are required to conduct an art of living session also, which is basically a meditation session that will be taken by one of my colleague, Dr. Tushar B. Gohil. He is also from VNIT Nagpur. We both joined together in 2014 December at VNIT, and he is also from IIT Kanpur. Later, the CAD and topology optimization using MATLAB, he will be showing all the case studies how MATLAB can be used for computer design, even the topology optimization, by Dr. G. Sarvan Kumar. He is currently at IIT Madras faculty. And post lunch on Wednesday, which is day 3, it will be there will be hands-on session which will be conducted by Dr. Abhishek Jha. He is our alumnus, and he worked on the motion planning. So he will be talking about MATLAB, what are the usages, how you can use for manufacturing applications. And the end of the third day, we will be having the data acquisition system in freeform surface machining by Mr. Rahul Mali. Rahul Mali is currently a PhD scholar working in our group, and very soon he will be submitting his thesis also. We will be talking about for 1.5 hours about his thesis, what he has done on freeform surface machining. The fourth day, we will be having ultrasonic grinding and monitoring. So the research aspects of the grinding and monitoring by, and there also Dr. Rajesh Madharkar, he is from IIT Delhi, and currently he has just joined Raisoni Engineering College at Nagpur. And on fourth day, we will be having the metallurgical aspects in rolling process, how you can use various methodologies, how to characterize all the rolling process for aerospace applications. That will be taken by Dr. Rajesh Katrikar. He is currently at metallurgy department, VNIT Nagpur. And post lunch, using MATLAB, how you can always detect the drilling, and which is done by microwave process by Dr. Nitin Lautre. He is PhD from IIT Roorkee, and he is also our own colleague. And fifth day, friction, wear, and tribology in manufacturing. There will be this will be delivered by Dr. Ashwin Kumar. He is a PhD from ISM Danga. And a later part, we will be having a wear monitoring in manufacturing process by Dr. Jitendra Katyar. He is also from IIT Kanpur. So currently he's working at SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. And after that, we will have a valedictory function where our director and head of the department also will be joining. And we will be having a small quiz, which will be through Google Form. I will be making a Google Form and will be sending to everyone. And you have to answer the questions. The quiz will be conducted for half an hour. And as I told you, you have to secure 60% of the marks in the quiz, then only you're eligible to get the certificates. As I told you, this is the fourth workshop in this series. So we used to have a large number of participants. Offline is always better, which I used to feel now also, because there we used to have sessions from morning 8 to evening. There is no end actually. So people used to work on, they used to bring their own laptops, and they used to work on the MATLAB. We used to install, we have 100 licenses, but I used to conduct for 60 people because there the capacity we have to accommodate is 60 people. And people used to do a small project also in this 1 week, and they used to deliver at the end of the session. So that is what I used to do every time. And now, so as I told you, we will be having this session for 1.5 hours. And any queries, please write in your chat box, and definitely we will try to solve if at all, if it is in our purview. And I request all the participants be present for all the sessions, because every time whatever the deliver, because most of the candidates who came to MMM since 2017, there are at least 15 people who are doing PhD at some other places, some other NITs and IITs actually. That is how the motivation level. And more of a research content we used to share in all these 5-6 days. Earlier it was for 5-6 days, but AICT told me to conduct only for 5 days. But still I kept 15 sessions. There will be a lot of research contents what the speakers will be sharing, and it will be very good. I will be sharing all the videos of all the participants. And as I told you, any thing which you want to convey to the even to the participant speakers, you are most welcome. Lot of feedback I generally take at the end of the session. But now the problem is that the session feedback will be taken by the only the AICT. Otherwise, I used to take the session. And there are few participants. I have made sure that whoever has earlier participated in this MMM, I have not given a chance, because I thought that a chance should be given to everyone actually. So all the three earlier people who have participated, I have not given the chance. Hardly 1 or 2 people are there in the group. So I'll start my first session. Before starting the session, let me stop sharing the schedule. I'll share my presentation. I'll stop. I am just sharing my PPT. Is the PPT visible? Can someone make it in the chat box?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I request everyone, please mute your all your mics, so that it will be easy for me to what we call manage the session. And we'll start. Before starting the session, let me in fact, I will be thanking my the research team at the end of the session. And So today I'll be talking about the research perspective of metal additive manufacturing using laser cladding. I have given this similar type of lecture recently through the Atal only, somewhere in Kerala, and one institute at Jodhpur also I have given. So what I will be trying to tell you is that in the additive manufacturing for metals, using this laser cladding, what all we have done in the last 3 years. So I will be sharing all the details. And as you know, in experiments, it is very difficult to get publications immediately, actually. So once you work a period of 2-3 years, then some results will be coming after 3 years. And we are happy to share that this year we got around 8 publications. It started in May, and every month we are getting publications, and we are expecting the same in the next couple of months also. Now, before going to this metal additive manufacturing in laser cladding, how this metal additive manufacturing has come into picture, let me give a small brief the background. Actually, I was in fact, this metal additive manufacturing is not my research area earlier. Actually, after joining VNIT only, this research metal additive manufacturing has come into picture basically, and that is also through laser cladding. I worked on abrasive water jet machining for the what you call the micro channel fabrication at IIT Kanpur, and you see, when in IIT Kanpur, what we used to have is that any PhD scholar, the thesis has to go to abroad. Outside India, there will be 2 examiners, and inside within the country, they have 1 examiner. So all 3 reports has to come. The student has to after that student will be defending. So what happened is that my research work has gone to, there is one Dr. Shipway at University of Nottingham in UK. And Professor Shipway has evaluated my thesis and he has sent. So once I joined VNIT Nagpur, then I have mailed him saying that this is, I have just joined VNIT Nagpur in India, which is in the state of Maharashtra. Then if immediately he has replied me saying that one of my student is also from Nagpur, India, he told. So then he has given all the details and I have contacted that concerned person. And when I visited them, then I came to know that they have a process which is called as laser cladding. So the industry which we are working is Srinath Engineering Industry, which is there in MIDC Hingna. I'll be sharing their details also and what are the things which we have done using their system. So I was not, as I told you, that was not my research area. I was not very much confident because I know only metal additive manufacturing. People used to work on either the selective laser melting or selective laser sintering. So that was the perspective that only people use SLM or SLS on. So when I visited them, they have demonstrated the machine, and I was so happy that they are depositing material actually. A large amount of material they are depositing with high amount of energy actually. Then something. So I have just after demonstrating, I came to my office and I was thinking that what best we can do using their facility. They were very much open to us. They told that any research work if you want to do, we can do collaboratively. Then they told me. So I was searching about laser cladding, and people are doing a lot of work actually. Means like in the sense that the system got the commercialization. The system came only somewhere around 8 years back actually, and these people were the pioneers in laser cladding system in Nagpur, and there were only 3 systems in the country, and that time about 3 years back. Today we have around 10 systems in the country. So there was one in Hyderabad and one in Nagpur and one at what we call ARCI Hyderabad, but that is only research equipment. Actually. Even the Hyderabad system, I'm not sure whether they will be using much for the applications. So then immediately I went after a week to their system and I told that let us do some samples. Then they were interested actually. So then I have done some samples. There I got some interesting results. So immediately, as I told you, when I was doing the searching on the system, people are doing some enormous and very good work where this laser cladding they are using as additive manufacturing. But in India, we are not using, at least in the Asian countries. Somewhere in Singapore, people are doing, but not in even China, but they are not revealing anything. So then I thought that I should work on this system, and these industry persons are also very much cooperative. I thought that I will be working with them. So when I asked them to make few samples, they made few samples and they have given. I'll be showing the first sample which we made. there's some amount of problem which I faced. Even these people have not observed actually. So then I thought that these are the things as a researcher, as an academician, what we can do for the industry or the whatever is the power plant industries which they are working. Then I told that these are the possibilities which we can do. Then they told that you please go ahead actually. So then I have submitted a proposal to the Department of Science and Technology that saying that this is what I am interested in. Okay, this first slide, it is 9. So somewhere I have done a mistake actually. It is not 9.2. It is, let me just change. It is 14.2. Okay. So then I thought that we have submitted a proposal to the Department of Science and Technology at for the early career research grant, and fortunately I was granted actually. We got around 39 lakh rupees for the grant and we started working. So there's some of the interesting results which I'm going to share with you. Then we worked for almost 2 years on this project, and we have done a lot of experiments, a lot of analysis, a lot of characterization, everything we have done. Then we started submitting papers in this from the best part which I found is that in the lockdown period, because there is no going to office and it was so stuck at my home. So March, April, May, these are the 3 months which we have utilized with all my research scholars. They are working at their own places and we started applying for with submitting papers. So then a lot of interesting things have come, and we are so fortunate that we got 8 publications this year actually, and 2 are from out of this laser cladding, but most of the things are with the laser cladding. So then after 2 years, when we have seen that based on this technology, I have visited all the BRDs, Indian Air Force. Fortunately, the Indian Air Force headquarters is at Nagpur. So then I have visited all the BRDs, which is base repair depots, where it is the control of Indian Air Force. They do a lot of the refurbishing and repairing it. So then I told that these are things which is there in available in Nagpur. So last year, they all visited us and they visited this Srinath Engineering, and they were very much fascinated. Then these Indian Air Force people told that we should work on this aerospace materials, particularly Inconel 718. So then I have submitted a second proposal in the year 2018. And fortunately, this should be with an industry partner. Actually. So when I discussed again with this industry partner, they told that any type of work they want, we are ready to do. So then I have submitted the project. We got the second project, which is about 80 lakh rupees. 68 lakh rupees we got, where the industry is going to contribute for 20%. So those things also I will be showing at the end of my lecture. So I hope that some people might have heard about this additive manufacturing. So you see, when we talked about additive manufacturing 20 years, I have my experience working on FDM, fused deposition modeling, where we were doing only polymers actually. And extensively, I worked for about 10 years at IIT Kanpur, and I was working as a research engineer. Later, I shifted to academics in the teaching field. For 4 years, I worked at IIT Jabalpur, then I shifted to VNIT Nagpur. So when we see this, the metal, polymer-based manufacturing, what it does is that you will be having some sort of a jalebi making machines where there will be a material which you are going to fuse it and you are going to deposit it. So that is how it works. But when it comes to the metal, altogether the process is extremely different actually. If you see a selective laser sintering, what happens is that you will be having a powder and the laser will be coming, and it all gets hardening is going to take place according to the layer. But in the case of laser cladding, it is not that. Here you are going to use the powder to melt and you are going to deposit as a layer, right? So in the selective laser melting also similar to this selective laser sintering process, where selective laser sintering is a well-established process by the researchers. So where people have worked actually. So what I am going to talk about is as I told you, this one project is just completed in September. The second project, we have large amount of funding. If any student or any faculty who is interested to work with us as a collaboratively, you are most welcome. Funding is, please don't worry about the funding. That will be taken care by us. Even the experimentation part will be taken care by our industry partner. But we should have, and you people should be ready to work if at all you are working, if you are interested in working with if you in the laser cladding. So we have Dr. Praveen, who is from Beltech. We are just started working on this laser cladding and HVAF also. And there is Dr. The person who is going to deliver at the end of the workshop, Dr. Jitendra Katiyar. Still, we are working with laser cladding on the underground, ground engaging tools, which I'll be sharing some of the things with you. So coming to the laser cladding is a direct energy deposition process, and this is one of the most promising technologies if you consider in additive manufacturing process. So laser, when you are trying to use, laser has large amount of capabilities that where it can melt and it can vaporize actually. You see, when we talk about laser, there are many processes actually. Once you use your laser, then there will be heating, melting, sublimation, and there will be some sort of vaporization is going to take place. Similar things you are going to see even in the laser cladding process, but you don't find the difference how it is going to happen. It is so fast actually. You might be knowing about the welding process now. Welding, what you are trying to do, you will be having a base plate on the top. You are going to use an electrode and you are going to deposit. Same thing you are going to use in the case of laser cladding also. But in the welding process, what you see is that you will have a large temperature generation in the process. But in the and it will stay for a longer period of time. But in the laser cladding, what happens is that the gas, the shielding gas which you are going to use, it tries to cool. That means the solidification is going to happen so fast actually, and you can do whatever you want in the deposition process, and it doesn't have any limitation like what material you are going to deposit and what amount of material you are going to deposit. But there is some limitation which these people have made, so that I'm going to share it. So when coming to the laser cladding, as I told you, it is a direct energy deposition process where it uses laser beam. First, what happens is that it fuses the powder. It's not necessary that the substrate on which you are depositing, we should have the same the powder, the properties. It can be any material, or basically only metals I'm talking. So any metal apart from the substrate, not necessarily they could be of the same, and that fusing, once it is fused, it is being melted and it is going to be deposited on the surface. So that gives a very strong metallurgical bond. And when we talk about the dilution in this process, you will be having a very nice and minimum dilution which you are going to see with the substrate, so that the properties of the coating material is also maintained. So now laser cladding, when you try to define, it involves a laser heat source, and which melts the metallic powder and deposits a very thin layer over the substrate, forming a metallurgical bond. So for better understanding of the laser cladding process, you should always have, first is that you have to do some sort of initial experimentation. So this is a very expensive process, to be very frank actually. So these industry process, they cost 25,000 per hour if you want to do anything on laser cladding actually. So that is how these people have, the equipment costs somewhere around 5.5 to 6 crores actually. It's a large equipment, I'll be showing that. So these people, everything they got in 2 years actually, because that time there were no partners and there were no competitors in the country actually, and they have done a lot of work and they've got everything within a span of 2 years. Now there is a new technology which they have got, which is a high velocity air fuel system, which we are just about to start with one of our colleagues, as I told, from Beltech. So in order to understand the cladding process, we have done some sort of simulation using COMSOL. So now you see the process is melting, you are depositing, and also you are trying to analyze the microstructure. So you have the heat is also involved, you have the material properties also involved, and also you will have what we call it actually the design aspect is also there, how you are going to use, how the laser has to move, at what the direction the laser has to move, how you are going to deposit it. So we have done a lot of heat transfer analysis, we have done modeling, and we have done simulation using the COMSOL, which I am going to share some of the work with you in this lecture. Now, as I told you, so this, if you see, there is a substrate which is there, and there is a laser which is coming. So you have a laser on the when the laser is coming from the middle, the powder is departed from the sideways edge. So all the powder, when it comes, it's a coaxial laser, in the sense that the feeding of the material is done coaxially. So that means you will have 4 varieties of tubes, and the powder is coming from all sides, and the laser is going to hit from this side. So it takes the metallic powder and a shielding gas, and when it deposits, it is going to deposit as a melting pool actually. So it always happens that the coaxial feeding and powder will enter the melt pool as on the substrate. So now you see the powders are fused and it is deposited. Once it is deposited, it looks something like this. Here the laser, the gun, the powder, if you see, the powder has some, the gun has some diameter. So the diameter of the gun which we are currently using is 5 millimeters. So they don't have the laser. But in the new project, we are going to get a smaller gun which is having about 1 mm diameter. So fine structures can also be deposited, because if you see in the turbine blades, when we see, the thickness is about 0.8 mm, the minimum thickness, and the maximum thickness anywhere it is about somewhere around 1.82 mm, also 3 mm also we have. No, sorry, 0.8 mm is the minimum thickness, and the maximum thickness will go up to 6 mm actually. If you see the turbine blade, the height of the turbine blade is around 200 mm. And to make this one, you need hardly 200 grams. But what they try to do is that they use a large amount of material. They try to do machining right now. It's a single crystal material. So they face a lot of problems in the aerospace sector section. So if you talk about Inconel 718, elsewhere people are doing, they are very fantastically, they are doing repairing, and they are making the turbine blade. So the second project which we got, the target is that we have to make a turbine blade out of Inconel 718, and we have to give it to the Indian Air Force. They are going to do the testing. So this is the process, how it looks like. Now, when we talk about this additive manufacturing and the laser cladding, so this laser cladding, as I told, it's a melting process in which the laser is used to fuse the alloy, and it is going to be added on the substrate. If you see this additive manufacturing, basically it all they call it as material addition actually. So these complex parts can be done by this additive manufacturing. You have a very good powder feeding system. In order to improve the structural properties or repair of the worn out components, people do a lot of coating technologies or thermal, what we call this plasma coating they do, plasma spraying they do. But because of the large amount of temperature differences, the residual stresses of the material will be there, and that leads to failure, early failure, what it is being anticipated. So now laser cladding gives a very good solution that you can do a deposition, but you have a very good service life, where we have seen that there is a 300% increase in the service life of the component. So academically, if you see, the raw material consumption is very, very less in the case of a laser cladding. That means the waste is less, though it is expensive. But if you talk about, if nothing is available, this process is very much. So suppose if you talk about in the aerospace, they are not concerned about money, but the quality and the precision, and they should not have any defects, everything they try to do. So such type of applications we can see, and people are doing for even power plant industries also. Now, sorry, I will be showing this video. Let me show this video actually. So this is how you see the robotic arm is going to move. So the robotic arm is only going to move. So this is what is how the system is going to work. Just give me a minute. I just want to know whether is it audible or not. Is it okay, everyone? Is it audible now? Okay, fine. I'll share again. So this is the system which we are working. So initially what we have seen, that with the laser power, when we try to do, so what are the various parameters which we were using currently? Actually, the laser power is there. the powder feeding feeding rate is there, scanning speed is there, the deposition rate is there, what thickness we are depositing, that is also so there. So these are the, you see the turbine blade, it looks like I think this media is not working actually. So this is the turbine blade. So how they are trying to deposit, it's not a new blade, but they are trying to repair actually. So here you have a substrate, the scanning direction with the laser gun is going to move like this, and you have a clad layer, and here if you see, the melting is going to take place. The powder is being done through the nozzles. There are 4 nozzles, powder feeding is done from the laser will come from the center edge. Now, as we started working with, because that time initially when we were working, we were not targeting anything related to aerospace, but still we have kept in the proposal that we are going to use for aerospace, which is Inconel 718 in the first project. So our main motto in the first project is that as we have done few of the samples, so what we have observed is that when you try to deposit, there is a small amount of distortion in the substrate edge. You see, when there is a small distortion, people will accept. But there is a large amount of distortion, they will be, again, you need to have all the post-processing, which people don't try to accept actually. So that even these people were aware or not aware of when they try to deposit. So then when we observed in the initial samples, then we have, as I told you, when we have written this project, so the project is on, we are trying to monitor the distortion. In single layer, you will not find much distortion. But if you try to do it in a multi-layer, the distortion gets accumulated because heat is also being accumulated. When there is a large amount of heat, there will be distortion. Distortion is basically because of the plastic deformation of the material edge. So that is how you are going to see the distortion which we have observed in the process basically. Right. So this is the Stellite 6 material which they were using for this cobalt-based alloy. And the target is that when we try to do deposition on multi-layer, we should have the minimum distortion. Actually, this distortion can happen because of the material properties and because of the process parameters. And we try to monitor and we try to characterize also. So why it is happening, what parameters we are trying to see, and those things we were trying to understand, and we have done it actually. So this Stellite 6 initially we have done with the SEM characterization, how the single particle width looks like. So the size of the particle is somewhere around 45 to 90 microns they told, but most of the particles which we got is around 80-85 microns actually. Even the industry people also suggested that the particle size should be around some 45 to 100 microns maximum actually. So this is what the EDS spectrum we have seen for the powder. So the chemical composition, if you see, the balance is cobalt. So somewhere around 70%, 60% of the cobalt we are going to have, and it is as a chromium. So it is having a very good the wear resistant properties basically. So these are the first samples which we have, these are the second set of samples which we have done. Initially, when we have seen that some distortion is going to happen, so single layer, this is the single layer, this is 2 layer, and this is 3 layer, and we have layer by layer we have done, and track also we have done. So layers is different and track is different. Track is like 1, 2, 3, which comes one by one after the other. Track is, suppose if you see, this is a 3 layer and 3 track the cladding basically. So this is how we have done with the Stellite 6 of various process parameters. So when we have seen that what are the various the dimensions which we are going to occur when we are trying to use the Stellite 6, these are the after the trial experiment, this is the first set of experiments we got actually, which we have done. So this is for a single track class actually. So there we have used, now the power which they allow us, the maximum power of the setup is about 4 kilowatts actually. So we try to use 80%, but somewhere we have used 90%. I'll show you that slides also. So initially they were reluctant, but we tried to convince them, and we have used 90% of their powers also. So this up to 80% of the power which are used for different powers, and we have seen that what will be the dimensions, what will be the height of the clads which we got it, and how the dimensional accuracy is being maintained. And this is for a flat surface we have done. These are the multi-tracks. If you see, if this is 1 track and this is second track, and if you see, these are the multi-tracks. These are the 3 tracks at different powers which we have used, and then we can characterize that what power we have to give and how many layers we have to deposit. And for our experimental setup, we have done for 3 layers, but for the industry people, where means the end user, we have done for almost 16 layers actually, with the same process parameters. Now, when we try to characterize this stellite 6 once it is cladded, if you see the alloyed zone is something like this, it is coming. There is a clad zone, it is only pure stellite 6. And if you see the alloyed zone, so when we try to use the high powers, so though initially we have not observed on the surface cracks, but when we try to analyze further and we went into depth, some sort of cracks we have observed. So that means there is some problem in the process parameters. Again, we have modified such that the cracks is not there. So cracks also will be there when you have a sudden rise in temperature and the increasing and decreasing in the temperature. So that is how the cracks are going to be formed on the surface. So then if you see the micro cracks which we are there inside the surface, then we thought that somehow the cracks are not allowed actually. Particularly in aerospace, they are 100% not allowed. But in the power sectors, what they try to do is that instead of 200 hours, they will work for 180 hours actually. But this we have removed the cracks, means with all the process parameter optimization, now the cracks are also not there actually. Now, the next project which we have done is the nickel chromium boron silicon, which is again a hard material actually. And nickel chromium is basically, you might have seen this the JCB, this JCB truck which they have the class basically. And Caterpillar is the only company in the world, and the maximum users from this Caterpillar are from our country, India only. So they use somewhere around, you see, there are only around this is a 5-blade smaller one actually, but they use somewhere around 10 blades. Also they use. So this one, if you see 1 week or 10 days, if you try to use this blade, the new blade is something like this, it is going to become. So then we have taken this as a challenge that something we should do in order to increase the service life. So when we tried to use this one and implemented in the industry, which is nothing but the mining industry, we have seen about Yes. Can you see my slides? Is it visible?
Yes, visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. So the nickel chromium boron silicon we started working, and it has almost given 300% service life of the this teeth. Actually, we have, you see, we have not done coating the entire teeth. Actually, wherever there is a problem which we have observed when we try to use this loading unloading. So at few places only we have done the hard facing with this nickel chromium boron silicon. It's not that only nickel chromium boron silicon. We have added the tungsten carbide also. So this is what the samples, initial samples we have done to just check whether it is working or not actually. So like that. Video? I can switch off. So, like, these are the few samples when we worked with the nickel, chromium, boron, silicon, and the tungsten carbide. So, we have used the tungsten carbide as 60% and nickel, chromium, boron, silicon as 40%. That was the first trial. So, actually, this we got some from internet said if you are 60-40 or 40-60. But because hard facing is required, that is the reason why we have used tungsten carbide 60% and nickel chromium 40% we have used. And you see in this SEM image, if you, is this visible, this image, SEM image? So this one, you have round particles are this nickel chromium boron silicon, and there are triangular particles. So this is the tungsten carbide actually. So there you can see that the difference between these two, what type of particles are there. So when we try to use this, when we have done the initial sampling, everything, so this is how it looks like actually. So now when we do all this testing for the surface cracks are available. So we have not found any surface cracks on the specimens. That means whatever the cladding which we have done with this one is very good. But then we try to understand that how the dissolution of the particles is going to take from either from the substrate or from the substrate to the clad basically. So there we have seen that we have done with respect to some sort of calculations where we have considered the mass of carbide and mass of composite clad and mass of nickel alloy powder also. So there we have used the volume which is being retained in the tungsten carbide using some sort of any image analysis software we can use. Then, as I told you that some of the issues in laser cladding. So if you try to understand, once we do some sort of experiments, we can see that the process parameters in laser cladding, you have the issues related to the microstructure and issues related to the mechanical properties also. So how the heating and cooling rate is going to take place, what mode of heat transfer is going to take place, and the melt pool shape, size, dynamics, everything we were trying to understand, and we have done. So what are the issues? Aspects is that these are the three aspects which we have to target, and issues in laser cladding is that component distortion, as I told you. And if you want to understand the component distortion, you have to understand what is the temperature history of the material and whether we can relate with the characterization or the SEM characterization of the clad or the substrate after the process is done. That is the aspects which we have targeted. So to understand this one, we have used data acquisition system, and for temperature we have used the pyrometers which are made from this Epilog. So when the first slot of pyrometers and the laser displacement sensors which were used to understand the distortion, Basically, the laser, the distortion, we have used the laser displacement sensors. So we have used different sets of laser distortion to understand the distortion at various locations of the substrate material actually, how the substrate is the distorting. So this, actually initially when we have used, we know that around 1500 degrees temperature it is going to come. Like 1200 degrees is going to come. So, but when we have the first set of laser display, the pyrometers which we have used, these are the pyrometers which we kept at the longer ones, the standing ones, they're all pyrometers, and the red ones are the laser displacement sensors. So we got around 1200 degrees temperatures. But when we see that, if you want to know the multiple temperature also, because multiple will be on the top substrate, so where you are going to see the how the melting is going to take place, then we have got a same epilogue, but there you can have like measure up to 2200 degrees centigrade. So in order to find out the multiple thermal history. Sorry. So this is the setup, entire setup which we have. We have laser displacement sensors, and these are the pyrometers, and these things are the laser displacement sensors, and the substrate we are not visible because it is there. This is what the size of the substrate which we have made, and the top pyrometer we kept to understand to know the temperature of the melt pool, actually how the melting is going to take place. The data acquisition system we have used NI data acquisition. So in order to avoid some sort of the what we can say is that cracks, we have preheated the substrate actually. So these are the first set of experiments we have done. So we have gone up to 3400 degrees, somewhere around 3600 is 90%, but somewhere around 87-86% we have gone using their laser power. Actually, till now they have never used the scanning speed of less than 20. They always use 20-25 because they see that the system should not get hampered actually. But we tried to convince the industry people, and then we used a 12 mm per second, very slow scan speed we have used, and even 16, they were the first time they were also using in the period of 3 years. Once we got about this system somewhere around, we started our collaboration in the year 2016. We started. So this 17 actual work we have started working. So before that, they got about 4 years back only they got the system. So the powder feed rate also, we want a very high deposition rates, and we went up to 45 grams per minute also. If you see, nowhere you see any of your research papers high deposition rates and low powder, so low scan speed. Nowhere you see in any of your the research papers actually. And because of that one, we got a good publication sector. So now we have done, this is 120 mm the substrate size, and width is 75, and we use 65. So the different so you see, you say almost 365 deposition for a single layer. So 300 deposition, 2 layer basically. So 365 seconds means what? It's something around 6 minutes continuously. So these are the samples which we have worked with Stellite 6 actually. So if you see this setup, what we have done before going for 2 layers, we thought that because some distortion we can avoid, we thought, and we have used a buffer layer basically, which is like a sandwich actually. Because if you see the distortion or the characterization of the material of the clad is because of the temperature difference. Temperature difference is what? Thermal, like the coefficient of thermal expansion. So the difference initially we have seen with the straight samples, we have seen that distortion is getting more. So then we thought that we will use an Inconel 625 as the buffer layer, which has a coefficient of thermal expansion between these two materials. So with the buffer layer and without buffer layer, we have done all the experiments actually. So these are the left side, if you see the experiments actually. So this is what all the 9 experiments we have. So here I have shown only 8, but we have done 18 experiments actually. And that is also same we have done for even Inconel 718 also. Right. But Inconel 718 we have not done because the thermal expansion between the Inconel 718 and the substrate is not very different actually. So we have done 2-layer direct actually. So the distortion, some sample, if you see how, that is what I saw. No, this is the longitudinal distortion actually. So this longitudinal bow of distortion is going to happen after 6 to 7 minutes of the cladding. If you see, different sensors, how the temperature history or the distortion they have given actually. Here we have used the laser displacement sensors at all the corners at the midpoint also, and all the pyrometers pick up at the corners and also at the middle. So this, if you see the temperatures which we got through the data acquisition system, this is how it is going to happen. So distortion, this is almost 6 mm which we got. So just to understand that whether we are, we will be able to understand how you are going to characterize and do the calculations for the distortion. So similar distortion trends we have seen in all the samples. Now, so this is the Inconel 7 wet. Actually, this one we got recent publication in Material Science and Engineering, basically. And now this Inconel 718, if you see, because first 1 year of the second project, it went only to find out who is going to supply this Inconel powder. Right. So that time it was so difficult. We couldn't get any of my Inconel powder. Nobody is trying to they were not supplying in the country actually. So if there were people in US and Singapore, they are supplying all these 718 powders. So with lot of difficulty, we got one person in Bangalore, Indo MIM actually. It's a company where they make Inconel 718 powders. They started about a year back. And we started getting this powder from the month of January only. So we got around, and the expensive, it is very expensive powder, and making powders by Inconel 718 is a big task. They have to do by gas atomization technique only they have to do. So that is very expensive process. So, but in Bangalore, they started recently and we were getting powders. So people in US and this, what we call that, even from Sweden, they are unable, they are not willing to give it to our country. Even if they want to give, they told that we will be giving 100 kilos or 50 kilos, because as a researcher, we will not require that much. So we are getting 2 kilos, 3 kilos powder every 3 months, every 1 month, sorry. So now if you see the Stellite 6, this is what we got in recently in the, where we got this publication we got in Journal of Alloys and Compounds. So this, if you see the total deflection at different powers, different. The first layer destruction is not more than 3 mm, and the second layer deflection it is somewhere around 2 mm. But if the clubbing it is going to take place. But if you try to still modify the process parameters, we might be getting a very less. So if you see the deflection, the change in deflection is we got, and between the layers, what is the percentage change in the layers, how much it is going to come. So these are the deflection results which we got. And if you see, even the track deflection also we have done actually different tracks. If you see, this is the 3rd track, this is the 9th track, this is the 25th track. We were trying to understand that is there any difference in the layers, and also when we try to deposit layer track by track also. Now, in order to understand, because every time if we want to do experiments, it is becoming so expensive even for the industry personnel. So then we thought that we will try to simulate first actually. So the simulation of the temperature history in the process we have done through the COMSOL multi-physics software. So we have done single pass heat transfer, and we have given the material to measure the temperature data. So as you know, in laser machining or laser process, the power distribution is a Gaussian distribution actually. This is and the same distribution we have used in the simulation also. So once you know the temperature, you can always assess what will be the solidification rate. Once you know the solidification rate, we can do the microstructure, and also we can evaluate the residual stress. So right now, whatever the residual stresses we don't have set up at Nagpur, so we are getting everything characterization through XRD from IIT Bombay. Rest of the things, everything we are doing in-house. So if you see the temperature profile, so this was done about 10 years back by from the physicist basically. So if you see how the laser is going to be, and this is the Gaussian distribution. So the temperature at the midpoint of the surface which we got, and the present melt pool, the model's melt pool is this one. The model melt pool which the authors have done about 10 years back is this one. So that means whatever the profile which we are going to get is more or less it is matching with the PIRI which we have done about in 2008. So the present model, as I told, we were using the Gaussian distribution only to find out the temperature of the clad basically. Now, this is the Gaussian profile. So if you see the temperature, we are getting it. Just to give some a view how we are going to use this one. With respect to the center, this is the left side and this is the right side. So this is the Gaussian distribution which we have used a sigma minus 3. Sorry, you might be knowing P minus sigma, P minus 2 sigma, P minus 3 sigma. You see in the distribution pattern actually. Now you see, when we try to take the sections at various locations, the temperature along the depth also we can get. These are the temperatures profiles along the depth. If you see this, the depth, if you see on the top, you are going to get 1850 degrees temperature. And at the bottom, you are going to reduce because that will be the substrate temperature. So these are the contour plots, and whatever the temperatures which we got from the simulation and we have evaluated with our experiments, and they are matching. So that means whatever the temperature which we are measuring and what we are trying to understand through simulation, they are matching, means that our experiments are correct. So you see the 1900 degrees or 1870 degrees temperature which we got at some on the top surface actually. So this on the midpoint of the top surface we got. So this we have done for around 5 seconds actually. So like that we got, means, and we get somewhere around 1980 degrees. Sorry, it is not 1870. 1870 is the previous one. Now, if you try to compare, actually, these are the what we have done. There is a professor at IIT Kharagpur, Professor Nad, actually. He has done about 2 years back the temperature profile. He has done some other process. And he has also done for in situ for Inconel 718 or the titanium, the carbide section. So this is the simulated profile. Their simulation we have done, like we got actually. This is simulated profile and this is the temperature profile. Whatever the experiment, sorry, this is the measured temperature profile. This is the temperature profile which we got through experiments and we tried to simulate. Actually, we have simulated. So these are the along the width. If you see what is the temperature profile, and along the depth, what will be the temperature profiles which we are going to, which we have obtained. Actually. So if somebody is interested in heat transfer analysis, please let us know. We can work together for the cladding process. You can sit and we can always guide them actually, and we can do some sort of experiments at this location. So remotely also it is possible today. Now if you see the distortion which we got is the longitudinal distortion. Now you can see on the right side, when the laser moves on the substrate, how the distortion is going to take place. So here if you see the substrate is deformed, it is a concave shape after the deposition is done. So once it is cooled, you are going to get a convex shape actually. So the concave shape and the convex shape, they try to do it, and you are going to get almost a like not very straight shape, but the deformation is going to decrease actually. So that is what we have observed even in the experimental part also. Now, when we try to see what are the parameters which we are using in this deformation, if you see there is a plate surface and we are going to have this as the heat source, if you see the right side. So the 2D simulation is only to study the geometry and the process optimization for the clad geometry, which I will be showing. So here we have used all the heat sources. We have used the solid mechanics module for the residual stresses also. So here the thermal analysis we have done to know the temperature history in the process by giving the laser energy input with the Gaussian distribution at the heat source. So here the dynamic shape of the molten metal is explicitly described by a moving mesh method. Actually, so if you see the deformed mesh is going to move also because of the liquefied material. Actually. So that is what we have assumed. Actually. So the next set of experiments is for Inconel 718. This is for the new the project which we have done. So if you see the 718 powders which we got from Indo-MIM Bangalore, which we got, so we have done all the characterization before going for we have done our, though they have given their own reports, but we have done our own analysis to understand what is the powder properties and what will be the size, everything. So the EDS analysis also we have done. But though they are, though the powders are not very good, but still the powders are up to the level where we can use for the additive manufacturing. At least in the initial stages we can use. So we have used the XRD method to find out for the phase analysis actually. So if you see, we have got gamma phase, gamma prime phase, and gamma double prime phase. Also the intermetallic phases also we got when we try to use this XRD for the phase analysis. Now the recent experiment just before the lockdown has started, we have done the all the experiments. So here, if you see, the quality of clad is generally depends on the process parameters which you are going to use. So in order to achieve this high quality clads, just one second. So the mathematical models we are trying to develop to predict the clad geometry with the process parameters, and we see that desired mechanical properties are being achieved or not with that concerned layer. So in this development of mathematical models for the selection of process parameters, what is the clad geometry? Like if you have a clad width is there, clad height is there, how the material is going to penetrate inside the substrate surface. So those are the things, and we have done a 27 set of experiments. Actually, it's a full factor experiment. So in the earlier case, we have used 12, 16. If you see, these are the 12, 16. We have used the process parameters, not 20. So here also we have used but a small change in the process parameters because the powder is also different. We thought that we will change. So we have used 12, 15, 18. Still lesser scan speed we went to for working actually. So and 35, 40 and 3400 is the power. So this is the all the 27 samples. If you see, the sample number 13 is a very bad sample, and sample number 6 is 5. Yes, 5 I think 6 on. 5 or 6, yeah, somewhere this one. So some samples we did not get. Actually, the power which we have used is not sufficient to melt this 718 powder. So that was the reason why we couldn't get much good results at this location. But still, we have written 2 papers for this one. Actually. So this is the we have done a 70 mm track length. We have done, and a single layer only we have done, but we have done 2 layer, 3 layer, 4 layer also, which I'll be showing. So this is only to first set. No, this we have done in order to find out the samples which we got from Mumbai, the base samples, whether they are correct or not. We have done our own technique to do the analysis. So these are the all the 27 experiments which we got. Now, as I told, the penetration depth is something like this. You have a substrate and the material is going to penetrate in this one. So this is what the penetration depth we are going to see. So this is the clad height, and width of the clad is this one. So this is the sample which we have done. So these are the recent samples actually. Now, if you see, we have done for single layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, 4 layer. Now, if you see the 4 layer sample, now recently we have done the characterization, we have done also hardness, and the results are very much encouraging actually, which maybe after a period of time, if somebody is interested, they can ping me, I can share their results. But today, about 4 or 5 days only, we got the characterization done for the hardness and the SEM characterization. So here, all the samples, as I told, for 3 different powers, we have done all the 3 sets of experiments. Right, if you see, the simulations actually simultaneously for these parameters we are trying to do the simulation, and all the samples, as I told you, we have initially heated for 200 degrees centigrade temperature in order to avoid any crack formation. As I told you, here the thermally all the surfaces are insulated thermally except the top surface actually where the laser is being used. Now, you see, this is what initial temperature which we have given Thomson, and the diffusion surface on the top, and other surfaces are being we have done the insulation. So this is how it looks like, you see. So this we have done for 10 seconds actually, but every is a period of the simulation step is 0.1 second. So we have about 10 seconds we have done the process actually. Now, if we have seen the effect of process parameters, this is a rough estimate, and now we are trying to do the ANOVA analysis, everything, what with all the parameters and how the scanning speed is going to affect the temperature and what is the melt pool size we got. And these are the things which we are trying to understand and we are trying to develop actually. Now, when we try to see, this is solid and liquid interface is more important actually. So there is something called as the deformable mesh conditions. No, so the interaction between the solid and liquid is now we are trying to model, and we have just started in the sense that we are almost successful, I can say actually. So this can be used to find out the melt pool interaction with the solid part of the substrate. Actually, this is how this is the substrate, if you see, and this is the melt pool, how the is going to take place. So as I told you, this is the melt pool and the substrate. So these are the things which we have our research group has done, and as I told you, the still some things are there which I have not shared because that is at the publication stage. That is the reason why we have not. I have not shared actually. You can see my research gate and whatever the publications which we got, I have uploaded in that research gate recently. So we have the online monitoring and characterization of the distortion in multi-layer classing process. We got about this much, and project title for this additive manufacturing using for 718. This is the one which we got, and this is our research group. And there will be one more person who is going to join. As I told you, my own PhD student who is going to submit. He will be joining the research group very soon. So that's all for this lecture. If you have any doubts, you can just in the chat box, or if you are done, then you can always do it. You can always ask questions. I think you can talk because I have not muted everyone. If anything, somebody is saying that, how are you going to Rishal? Okay, very nice session. Fine. Okay, the tribologic Rishal Kashyap. Can you switch on your audio, Rishal? One by one we will tackle it. Okay, all the session we will have one by one. Okay, let me unmute all. Okay, is it locked?
Hello.
No?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, Rishal, tell me. One second. Let others be in the mute condition. Rishal, tell me.
Sir, I would like to ask about the tribological implications of laser cladding additive manufacturing, sir.
Right. Tribological characteristics means in the sense that where and how the wear is going to, yes, coefficient of friction basically. So that we have done few experiments initially with a pin-on disc, and that is what the material science engineering P. You can see actually what how the wear is there, whether the wear is there on the substrate or the clad we have done. So we are, for the new thing which we are trying to do, we are going to do the wear and tribology actually. So that is what we are trying to do with SRM Chennai. Rishal, are you from now you are at SNIT? You are from NIT Srinagar, no? MTech.
Yes, sir. NIT Srinagar, sir. MTech. Yes.
Because I remember you have mailed me for PhD. That time our admissions were not there. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is someone. Okay, how do you do the online monitoring for the process? As I told you, we are doing with all the sensors. Okay. One second. One by one, I'll ask. I will answer actually. Rishal is done. Rishal, you have any other question? Okay.
Sir,
now,
online. Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes. Tell me.
Sir, online monitoring is effective in case of laser cladding, sir?
Like yes. We are doing right now. We are doing with sensors.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome. Vrushali Bhalero, you want to ask some questions? You can ask, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, the first thing is for any type of means nanoparticle doping or impregnation in the original material. If I want to find out simulations how it is going to get into the material, is there any software we can use?
Right now, actually, you are asking something which is related to the metallurgy part, which I am not very much there. But if you see in the console also, material addition is also possible. Actually. In the material addition is possible. I think it should be possible if you want to add a few type of dopings you are talking. In that
yes,
case.
Sir.
I think it should be possible. Actually.
Okay, and the another question is nearby Pune for scanning electron microscopy. Means for sample preparation and all, what we have to do actually?
No, sample preparation means first is that you have to cut with your EDM machine and you have to do the polishing. So that is what, because the surface has to be polished surface actually. You cannot have a rough surface for qualification.
Okay, sir. And in Pune, means any of the place where we can do ACM?
You have it, DIIT Pune is there, no? Defense Institute of Advanced Technology. And even College of Engineering Pune is having ACM.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
the.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, 1 second. After Vishali Balerao, okay. Ashok, is it possible to obtain same material characteristics of the component using laser cladding? That is what we are trying to see, no? Because in the conventional methods, because of the residual stresses, the properties of material is going to change. But in laser cladding, we are trying to achieve the same material properties even after the cladding. Dr. Ashok was asking this one. Is it clear? Dr. Ashok, you can unmute your mic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome.
Sir, what
And
percentage, sir, you achieved in this laser cladding, sir? To the
I have not checked, but to be very frank, we have not checked it.
Okay. Okay, sir.
But we have checked now the material characterization point of view. Whatever the material characteristics or the composition we got even before cladding, after cladding, we got the same thing almost.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, any defects optimization you have done, sir, in this laser cladding defect optimization?
That is the reason why I have not shared that information which we have done. We have just done actually. So we are going to submit a journal. That's the reason I have not shared that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, this setup, is it available in your college, sir, or outside?
No, it is there. It's a very expensive, some 6-7 crores it takes actually, and you need a large amount of setup to manage this one. So that is the reason why we make all the experiments we do at like in the industry only.
Sir, how much they will be charging, sir, if I approach for that one, the experiment?
Actually, if a research point of view, if some student comes or a faculty comes, they don't charge. Commercially, they charge 25,000 per hour.
Okay, 25,000
because per hour 25,000.
Okay.
So, but whatever we do as a research partner, material we buy actually. They give only the system. We say that these are the parameters. Please do it, and they also give a lot of inputs actually, and that should be useful for them also. No? That is the reason.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Selva Kumar, powder purchasing. It is MIM Bangalore. Let me write on the slide. MIM, Indo MIM. Dr. Selva Kumar, I have shared the Indo MIM Bangalore.
Okay.
Which one? Hello. Well, welcome, sir. Compare. Okay, Dr. Prasanna is asking that comparison of experimental simulated surface temperature is, but how could you compare the session temperature, sectional temperature from console? Actually, section temperature we can't do. We can only do the multiple temperature. Section temperature, how it is not until unless you have. I am not sure sectional temperature we cannot do, but the thermal imaging camera can be used to directly correlate immediately. Actually. That is the only session. Professor Kanishka is there. Okay. Fine. Any other doubts you have?
Okay. Sir, hello, this is Anish, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Yash.
Anish, sir. Anish, sir, I had a query regarding the etching. Actually, we have to see the characteristics of the fusion zone, no? So, do we have to do some? Yeah, do we have to do some kind of special etching, like electro etching, or is it normal only? What have you tried, sir?
We have done the normal etching only.
Okay. Because earlier also I also tried, sir, in stellite and a normal plate, but the etching somehow did not work out for us. We were not able to, see the SEM images were not coming properly. It was kind of, normal only. So that is why I had a doubt.
Let me ask our Nikhil.
Yes, sir.
What type of etching we have done?
Actually, there are different etching we can use, but generally we will use HCl for HNO3. HCl and HNO3 in 3:1 ratio. You will find it on journal. You can find some papers on stellite 6. And our publication is also there. We have used that etchant, so you can refer that and you can see.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And we are actually getting it without etchant also. Means sometimes you will get the, if polishing is proper, if you go till 2500 grade sandpaper, then you can see that image, that microstructure without etching also. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Dr. Roja Abraham is there. Good morning, sir. Okay. Any other? Yeah. Okay. Can you share some resources for laser cladding? Oh, what do you want, sir? Dr. Salva Kumar, you are looking for resources. What type of resources you want? Huh?
Facility, sir. Facility for doing that laser cladding and equipment. Sir.
Okay. It is possible, but you have to write to us and we will convince our industry partner. There is no. But what material you are looking for?
Titanium borate.
Please come, because titanium borate, even Dr. Praveen is also trying. You can come, no issue. You can always write to us. We can ask them and we can convince them. They will do the experiments for us. How many? But let us first discuss on phone or mail. Then we can go ahead.
Definitely, sir. I will get back to you, sir.
Yes. Well, thank you. And Yash is asking whether we have the system at VNet. No, it is laser cladding. Yes, we don't have the system here, but it is available with our industry partner. Anything else? Okay, Sarvesh, how do you control heat flow rate? 1 minute. Sarvesh M, how do you control heat flow rate in additive manufacturing so as to obtain the actually heat flow rate is basically we are controlling with respect to your either the laser speed or the scanning speed. No, sorry, laser power or the scanning speed. That is the only option. Okay, next question. Yeah, that's what Chaitanya was also telling by adjusting the process parameters. Muhammad Hassan, you want to ask something? Your mic is on. Anyone else, if you want to ask, please let us know. As I told you, please write to us. Yes, is the machining required after? Yeah. So in the laser cladding, you will not get a very good finish, but we are trying to adjust the process parameter to get the best one actually. But there is some post processing. Definitely, it is required. That is, I am very much agreeing. Like some more post machining is required. Why deflection is chosen as the response parameter? No, it is not the why deflection is used as the response parameter, because when we try to see the when we try to do the experiments, we have seen the substrate is getting deflected. That was the reason why we are understanding that why this distortion is happening and how we can compensate it. The Palaksha Reddy asked why deflection is. So, okay. Anyone else? Anything? Okay. Is the deflection measured after? Is the deflection is measured after cooling to room temperature? No. It is online. It is online monitoring we have done. Means online only you can evaluate the distortion, deflection. Using this laser displacement sensor, you can do it. This Palaksha, some you can ask through your chat box, or you can call also. It means you can talk on, because I have unmute everyone. Is it okay, Palaksha Reddy? Okay. And what is material used for laser pointer body? I am not getting. You mean to say that laser gun you are talking? Yes. Okay,
Yes,
laser.
yes, sir. Laser gun.
No idea. You are asking me which is not in our control. Actually, our control is only in process parameters. Okay. What are the other methods to prevent distortion of the components? The component distortion can be done by prevented can be mostly they are done by preheating only. Or the process per, because distortion is always related to temperature. If you try to reduce the temperature, obviously distortion will be there. How do you have you done machining after laser cladding process for any shift? Not yet, Dr. Ashok. We have not done machining actually right now because we are only 2.5 years old actually. But definitely, yesterday I was reading one paper. People have done machining actually. They were doing finishing operation of the laser cladded components, and it's a good area which somebody is interested. We can talk actually. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
High-speed machining is there, sir. High-speed machining. I've gone through some articles.
Yeah, it is there actually. So can preheat. Yeah, you are asking something?
Yeah, but all over the material is difficult.
Yeah, it is required. You have to deposit every material actually. Yes.
Yes.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
are we considering heat affected zone as process parameters while experimenting?
No, not it, as we have not done that.
Okay, sir. Sir, I
Okay.
think in laser cladding, the heat affected zone will be less as compared to others.
Other. Yes. Laser cladding, the heat affected zone is very, very minimum. Okay. Prasanna. Okay. Is it okay? Okay. Somebody is asking. Let me go away one by one. Have you done any machining that is done? Can preheating the base material actually the base material will reduce the distortion, that is 100% sure, but it will not reduce very much level actually. So you have to do some sort of experimentation. Palaksha Reddy, is it okay? Okay, there is one Dr. Prasanna is how the distortion is monitored. Actually, sir, the distortion is being monitored using the laser displacement sensors we are doing right now. Okay. In 3D printing, we preheat the base metal. Again, Palaksha only. In 3D printing, we preheat the base metal. Can we do? Yeah, we also do the same thing with the procedure with which we are doing preheating is a very vague method actually. It's not very professional method, but we will be trying to do a better preheating actually. Right now, we are using with a gun actually. Means like that is what with a flame we are doing. Okay, any other questions? Okay, can we stop here? Kindly discuss some points about instrumentation. Now, if you see, somebody is asking about instrumentation. No, actually, we have used laser displacement sensors from Banner, which they have an accuracy of about 0.1 micron. Yeah, 0.1 micron. And the temperature we have monitored using the pyrometers, and these are all non-contact pyrometers. These are also laser-based pyrometers we have used. And you can measure up to 2,200 degrees temperature. We have the laser, the pyrometers we have. Okay, in 3D printing, okay, kindly discuss some, okay, is it okay, Palaksha Reddy? Chalo. Can we stop here? Okay, thank you very much for the your presence and thank you, Palaksha. Thank you. So we will be meeting again at 11:30. I request everyone to join just 2 or maybe 5 minutes before. I will be opening the link and keep it ready actually. So just before 5 minutes, please be sharing. So at that time, we will have some everyone if you have, if you can switch on your video, we can take a snapshot actually, just to know whether people are there or not actually. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll end this session. I'll just stop.